Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tomorrow's Weather Today. Today, we have a tropical update for you, as we have two systems that we are watching, Invest 91L, which we will talk about in the second half of this video, which has a 80% chance of forming over the next 2 days, and we have Tropical Storm Gonzalo with 50-mile-an-hour winds and a pressure of 1,000 millibars, uh, moving west at 14 miles per hour. Taking a look at the cone uh, for Tropical Storm Gonzalo, you can see that it's going to be moving basically um, pretty much due west, maybe a little more north component, and it is forecast to become our first hurricane of the hurricane season. This isn't definite, but with the rate at this is intensifying, this should become a hurricane, and it might encounter some more problems down the road after it passes the Windward Islands. Looking at the wind speed probabilities, we can see we have a 20 to 30% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds in the southern Windward Islands. As of right now, that chance will begin to increase as Gonzalo moves towards the west. And as of right now, the islands are not expected to get any hurricane force winds, but I would not be surprised if they do, and hurricane watches are posted and tropical storm warnings at some point. Looking at our satellite, looking very, very healthy. Not very, very healthy, but definitely looking like a good storm. It is very, very small in nature. I do have to say. And thunderstorms, there's some dry air problems. We'll look on the models. We can see there will be dry air to the north of the system, and we can look at water vapor for that. But we know that there's dry air problems because the thunderstorms, the updrafts are pulsating. Um, if we take a look at our long wave IR, we can see how the thunderstorms blow up, the darker colors like the blacks, purples, and whites, and then they fall apart. So it's pulsating. So there's some dry air getting in, but shear is at a minimum. Looking at water vapor really quickly, we can see all this dry air up here. That is the Saharan air layer, the SAL, I will call it. Or I might just say dust, but some dust is getting entrained into Gonzalo. Looking at forecast intensity, we can see a lot of the models do bring it up to a hurricane in the next 24 to 48 hours, and then keep it there. So I feel like the NHC is being conservative uh, with their strength to bring it back down to tropical storm. If we go to their discussion, they have it becoming an 80-mile-an-hour storm in the next 36 to 48 hours, and then falling off rapidly from 60 to 45 at forecast hour 120. We will see what happens as the storm moves to the west. But looking at the track there, it looks pretty. I gotta say, you like to see this, and then especially out here, it's very um, close together. This is very close, in my opinion. Usually, you see models going like all over the place, going like this. But the models have a pretty good consensus on where this should be moving, and we'll see what the strength of it is out here. If this does decide to take a turn to the north, um, at some point, over these islands, it probably will get torn apart because of all the mountains. Um, but that is yet to be seen if this will make a turn north or if it will go into the Gulf of Mexico. Looking at the GFS model, looking at the tropical Atlantic, we can see our storm it's a very small storm. We can see our storm down here. I'm going to take this ahead. It brings it in as 996 into the island at forecast hour 84, which is Saturday night into Sunday morning. And then just see what I mean? It's going to bring it over Hispaniola, and the storm actually just dies out because of all the mountains. If we go to the western Atlantic, here's our storm right here. Here's Gonzalo. Um, Right here, here's Gonzalo. If you watch it, it's going to track this way. It's right here. We're going to have to watch it. It's still right there. It's definitely something to watch if it reemerges in the Gulf. Um, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Looking at our 700 to 400 millibar relative humidity, you can see that here's Gonzalo, moist bubble. But we can see all this dry air to the north. This is our dust that I was talking about. And associated with that is very strong winds of 30 to 40 knots, which is very strong. If Gonzalo is slower and this can get out ahead, that would be better for Gonzalo. But if Gonzalo stays to the south of this, it's going to have a tougher time because it's going to be parting some shear on it. Even though it's moving west, there's going to be some faster, and it's going to be moving very fast. So that's going to be a problem, this dry air to the north. Looking at our wind shear, very little of it out ahead of it. You can see out here there's very little shear. And there's some shear acting on it at this point. Let's take an area sounding really quickly. 8 knots of shear, that's very light. It's very, very light. And looking at the capes, it's very good for thunderstorm development. So it's definitely something for the islands to keep an eye on. If we look at the winds, it's probably bringing it as a strong tropical, excuse me, a strong tropical, yeah, it's bringing it as a strong tropical storm. It may be even a hurricane, but it's so small that I don't think the GFS is going to be able to recognize everything. Looking at our 500 millibar height, we can see this ridge. There's the ridge to the north, which is going to be driving this off to the west. And I want to look at the European. We can see that fast mid-level flow right there. So the European actually breaks this off. Is actually opening this back up and keeping it weak through the islands, and then actually it's trying to develop this other one. So we'll see where that goes. I will probably be making a video on it. But the euro is definitely much weaker, and it's been consistent with that. So now we're going to take a look at Invest 91L. This is our system in the Gulf. Florida's over here. Here's Louisiana right here. So taking a look at this, I see some winds, surface winds or low-level winds like that. You can see, because you can see these upper-level clouds. It's very disorganized. There is a closed low. It's very broad at this very point in time. But it is in here, surface low. Thunderstorms are it's very disorganized at this point. You can see as most of the moisture is off to the east. And I just want to go over to, let's go to Mike's weather page really quickly. Looking at shear, very little shear. There was some behind it. 30 knots of shear. Here's Gonzalo right here. You can see very light shear around Gonzalo. And I just want to take a look at the ASCAT pass. I'm just trying to look for that bookmark. I am so sorry. I thought I had it. I thought I had it bookmarked here. I guess not unless I'm really missing it. I don't think so though. But looking, I just wanted to take a look at this really quickly. You can see the banding for Gonzalo, and it actually looks very, it's curved. It's looking very healthy at this point in time. I'm about to sneeze, sorry. Excuse me. Um, I'm still looking for this. I thought I had it. Let's just look it up. ASCAT pass. Yes. I guess I did not have this. Let's bookmark this really quickly. Of course, there's not one. um, yeah, of course, there's not one. That's unfortunate. Um, but going back to the satellite, you can see thunderstorms are it's going to probably start developing better. My guess is that either tomorrow or early Friday we do see this develop. Looking at water vapor, we have this upper level low down here. It's not really imparting shear on it. It's helping push the storm um, towards Texas, and this is going to be helping it move that way. Um, you can see it looks like there's an upper level high over it, which is good news for the storm. Let's see what the Euro does with this. All right, so here's our storm right now. It's showing up pretty well. Yeah, so actually the Euro has a stronger. This would be Hannah, I believe, than Gonzalo at this point in time, 72 hours out. Actually, it really strengthens it as it moves inland, which is very odd. Um, but I think the models are actually in agreement with that happening. Looking at the GFS, it has that surface low right there. You can see it right there. GFS keeps it weak and doesn't develop it. That's what we're seeing right there. I thought it was. I guess it isn't. Keeping it very weak. Um, I have a feeling that this will develop. That's just my thoughts on it. But we will certainly see. And we can see that upper level low right here. It's right here. Here's that upper level low helping drive that system, drive the system in. And we will see that show up on 200 millibars right here. Is this it? No, it's right here. Right here. That upper level low. Um, Looking at 700. So the wind barbs are for 700 400 millibars, and the isobars are for the surface. Um, you can see the mid-level winds are there, or like this. So that's where the wave axis is. This is better organized than it was yesterday. If we go back to 18Z yesterday, um, we can see that the trough axis is here while the surface axis is here. But it is better stacked today than it was yesterday by a long shot. So that's unfortunate news for Texas. We'll see where this goes. A couple of the models do bring it up to become a moderate tropical storm, and all the tracks pretty much bring it into Texas and then into Mexico. Looking at the Weather Prediction Center really quickly, for day 3, it's definitely possible that we see some rain down there, but regardless, heavy rain will be a problem for southern Texas, anywhere from an inch to maybe even up to 4 or 5 inches. So, if somehow you guys, anyone in the Windward Islands are seeing this, please keep a close eye on it, as this will be a strong tropical storm, maybe even a hurricane moving in. We will see. And anyone in Texas, keep your eyes on the weather. That is it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all soon.